You wake up at 3 in the morning. Your heart is racing. There's this weight pressing down on your chest, and you can't breathe properly. You tell yourself it's nothing. Just stress. Just life being hard. But deep down, in that dark corner of your soul you refuse to look at, you know the truth. You know what's really suffocating you. It's not life. It's not stress. It's the lies you've been telling yourself. The blame you've been pushing away. The responsibility you refuse to carry. And tonight, whether you like it or not, we're going to rip off that mask you've been wearing. Because 99% of people have no idea what it actually means to accept guilt. They think they do. They say the words. But they're lying. To themselves. To everyone. Are you ready to face what's really destroying you from the inside? Or are you going to close this video and go back to sleep, pretending everything is fine? Because I'm warning you now, once you understand what I'm about to show you, you can't unknow it. Your comfortable illusions will shatter. And you'll have to decide, will you finally become who you're meant to be, or will you stay a prisoner of your own denial? Let me ask you something, and I want you to be honest. When was the last time you truly admitted you were wrong? Not the surface level oops, my bad that you throw out to end an argument. Not the strategic confession you make to look humble. I'm talking about standing in front of the mirror of your soul and saying, I am the reason this happened. I am responsible. I failed. Most people never do this. Ever. They live their entire lives performing an elaborate dance of self-deception, always finding someone or something else to blame. Their parents. Their circumstances. Their boss. Their partner. Society. The government. The economy. Bad luck. Anything but themselves. And they think this protects them. They think this makes them strong. But it's the opposite. Every time you refuse to accept your guilt, every time you push away your responsibility, you give away your power. You become smaller. Weaker. More fragile. Because if you're never responsible for what goes wrong, then you're also never in control of making it right. Think about the last fight you had with someone you love. Can you remember it? Close your eyes for a second and go back there. Feel it. Now here's the question that's going to make you uncomfortable. What percentage of that fight was actually your fault? And don't give me the easy answer. Don't tell me 50% because that sounds fair. Don't tell me 10% because you want to be a little humble but not too much. Really think about it. The tone you used. The words you chose. The thing you said that you knew would hurt. The reaction you had. The patience you didn't show. The understanding you refused to give. What if I told you that the percentage doesn't even matter? What if I told you that the real question isn't how much is my fault, but what part of this can I take responsibility for? Because here's the truth that nobody wants to hear: when you focus on percentages, you're still playing the blame game. You're still keeping score. You're still trying to protect yourself instead of growing. And that's exactly why you keep having the same fights. The same problems. The same pain. Over and over and over again. There are 4 different types of guilt that shape your life, and most people only recognize one of them. The first one is obvious. It's criminal guilt. This is when you break a law and you know it. You stole something. You hurt someone physically. You committed fraud. This type of guilt is easy to understand because there are clear rules and clear consequences. You either did it or you didn't. Black and white. But here's what's interesting: this is the only type of guilt most people are willing to acknowledge. Why? Because it's external. It's about rules written by other people. It's not about who you are, it's about what you did. And as long as you haven't committed a crime, you get to tell yourself you're innocent. You're good. You're clean. But that's the trap. Because the other 3 types of guilt are invisible, which means you can carry them your entire life without ever admitting they exist. The second type is political guilt. And no, this isn't just about politics and the way you think. This is about the system you're part of. the society you benefit from, the structures that privilege you while oppressing others. Maybe you're not actively harming anyone, but you're silent when you should speak up. You're comfortable when others are suffering. You enjoy advantages that others can never access. You say it's not your fault because you didn't create the system. You were just born into it. And that's true. You didn't create it. But you perpetuate it. Every day you don't challenge it. Every time you shrug and say that's just how things are. Every moment you choose comfort over courage. That's political guilt. And the reason it's so hard to face is because accepting it means accepting that you're connected to suffering you didn't directly cause. It means your innocence is an illusion. It means that being a good person isn't enough. Are you starting to feel uncomfortable yet? Good. That discomfort is your signal that we're getting somewhere real. Because I'm about to show you the third type of guilt, and this is where most people completely fall apart. This is moral guilt. Moral guilt isn't about laws or systems. It's about the person you chose to be. Every day, you make thousands of choices. Small ones. Big ones. Choices about how you treat people. Choices about what you prioritize. Choices about who you become. And some of those choices make you proud. But many of them, if you're honest, fill you with shame. You were cruel when you could have been kind. You were selfish when you could have been generous. You were cowardly when you could have been brave. You ignored someone's pain because dealing with it was inconvenient. You lied because the truth was uncomfortable. You betrayed your own values because standing by them was hard. This is moral guilt. And it's eating you alive. Because unlike criminal guilt, there's no court that can sentence you. Unlike political guilt, there's no system you can blame. This is just you and who you are when nobody's watching. This is the gap between who you pretend to be and who you actually are. And that gap is a wound that never heals as long as you refuse to acknowledge it. But there's a fourth type. A type that's even deeper. A type that most people don't even have words for. It's called metaphysical guilt. And this is the big one. This is the guilt that comes from simply being alive. From being human. From being finite and limited and flawed. You can't save everyone. You can't be everywhere. You can't do everything. People suffer, and you're not there to help. People die, and you survive. People need you, and you fail them. Not because you're evil. Not because you chose to harm them. But because you're human. Because you have limits. Because no matter how good you try to be, you will always fall short. And here's what makes metaphysical guilt so devastating: there's no way to avoid it. You carry it just by existing. It's the weight of knowing that your very presence in the world means someone else's absence. Your success might mean someone else's failure. Your happiness exists alongside someone else's suffering. And you can't fix this. You can't solve it. You can only bear it. Now, why am I telling you all this? Why am I dragging you through these uncomfortable truths? Because 99% of people try to escape these types of guilt. They pretend they don't exist. They build walls of denial. They create elaborate justifications. They point fingers at everyone else. And in doing so, they destroy themselves. Because guilt that you don't acknowledge doesn't disappear. It metastasizes. It spreads. It poisons everything it touches. Your relationships become battlegrounds because you can't admit fault. Your growth stops because you can't see your failures. Your peace disappears because you're constantly defending yourself against truth. You become rigid, defensive, fragile, afraid. And the irony is that you think you're protecting yourself, but you're actually building a prison. Let me ask you another question. Have you ever noticed that the people who are the most defensive are also the most miserable? The ones who can never admit they're wrong are the ones who are constantly stressed, constantly fighting, constantly bitter. Why is that? It's because maintaining innocence requires constant vigilance. You have to monitor every conversation, every situation, every memory, making sure nothing threatens your carefully constructed image of yourself as blameless. It's exhausting. It's a full-time job. And deep down, you know it's fake. You know you're lying. Which means you can never relax. You can never let your guard down. You can never actually be free. Comment below if you've ever felt this. Tell me about a time when you were so busy defending yourself that you forgot to actually live. Because I need you to understand something crucial: the opposite of guilt isn't innocence. The opposite of guilt is freedom. And you can't be free while you're lying to yourself. Here's what actually happens when you face your guilt. When you stop running. When you look directly at what you've done and who you've been and what you're responsible for. First, you feel like you're dying. I'm not exaggerating. It feels like your whole identity is collapsing. Because your identity was built on the lie that you were basically good, basically innocent, basically not responsible. And when that lie falls apart, who are you? What's left? This is the moment when most people turn back. They feel this death happening, and they panic. They rebuild their defenses twice as strong. They double down on their denial. They find new people to blame. They convince themselves they were right to never look. But what if you don't turn back? What if you let yourself die? What if you sit in that collapse and feel it fully? That's when something miraculous happens. Because on the other side of that death, you're reborn. But this time, you're real. You're not pretending anymore. You're not performing anymore. You're not defending anymore. You're just present. Fully human. Fully flawed. Fully responsible. And paradoxically, that's when you become truly powerful. Because here's the secret that changes everything: when you accept your guilt, when you truly own your responsibility, you also accept your power. Think about it. If you're not responsible for the bad things that happen, then you're also not in control of making things better. But if you are responsible, if you do have agency, if you can admit I contributed to this problem, then you can also say I can contribute to the solution. Your guilt becomes your gateway to transformation. Your shame becomes your signal for growth. Your failures become your teachers. And suddenly, you're not a victim of your life anymore. You're the author. You're not buffeted by circumstances. You're responding to them. You're not at the mercy of other people's actions. You're choosing your own. This is what it means to be fully alive. To be fully human. To take full responsibility for your existence. And yes, it's terrifying. Yes, it's painful. Yes, it means giving up the comfort of blame. But it's also the only path to actual freedom. Now let me tell you what happens to your relationships when you learn to accept guilt properly. Everything changes. Because most relationships are built on a foundation of mutual blame. Each person protecting themselves, defending themselves, making sure they're seen as the good one, the right one, the innocent one. And this creates an endless cycle of conflict. You hurt me, so I hurt you. You blame me, so I blame you. Round and round we go, never actually resolving anything, just keeping score. But when you break this cycle, when you're the first one to say I was wrong, I hurt you, I take responsibility, without any but or however or you did this too, something magical happens. The other person has nothing to fight against. You've disarmed them. Not strategically. Not manipulatively. But genuinely. And in that moment, they have a choice. They can either continue to attack, which now makes them look petty and small, or they can meet you in that vulnerable space of honesty. And most people, when given that choice, will choose connection over conflict. Will choose truth over winning. Will choose growth over being right. I want you to try something right now. Think of someone you're in conflict with. Someone you're angry at. Someone who hurt you. Got them in mind? Now ask yourself this question: what's the 1% of this situation that might be your responsibility? Not 50%. Not even 10%. Just 1%. What's the tiny thing you could take ownership of? Maybe you didn't cause the problem, but you made it worse with your reaction. Maybe you weren't the one who started the fight, but you said something cruel in the middle of it. Maybe you weren't responsible for their pain, but you were dismissive of it. Can you find that 1%? Because here's what's beautiful: when you own that 1% fully, completely, without defense or justification, you open a door. You create a possibility. You show that you're more interested in healing than in being right. And often, that 1% is the key that unlocks everything else. That 1% of ownership can transform a relationship that seemed dead beyond repair. Why? Because it shows you're human. It shows you're not perfect. It shows you care more about connection than about your ego. And in a world where everyone is desperately trying to protect their image, that kind of honesty is revolutionary. But I need to warn you about something. There's a trap that people fall into when they first start trying to accept responsibility. They go too far. They take on guilt that isn't theirs. They apologize for things they didn't do. They blame themselves for everything, even things completely outside their control. This isn't acceptance of guilt. This is another form of escape. Because when you take responsibility for everything, you actually take responsibility for nothing. You're making yourself so guilty that the guilt becomes meaningless. You're drowning yourself in shame until shame loses all its power. And you think this makes you humble. You think this makes you good. But really, it's just another way of avoiding the specific, real guilt that you actually do carry. The guilt that would require you to change, to grow, to do something different. So let me be clear: accepting your guilt doesn't mean accepting guilt that belongs to someone else. It doesn't mean believing you're responsible for other people's choices. It doesn't mean drowning in shame until you disappear. It means looking clearly at your actions, your choices, your contributions, and saying, yes, I did that. That's mine. I own it. Nothing more. Nothing less. Just the truth. Here's something most people never realize: your guilt is specific. It has names. It has faces. It has moments. It's not some vague cloud of badness floating around you. It's concrete. It's real. It happened at a specific time to a specific person in a specific way. And that's actually good news. Because if your guilt is specific, then your responsibility is specific. Then your amends are specific. Then your growth is specific. You don't have to become a completely different person. You don't have to fix everything. You don't have to save the world. You just have to face what you actually did. Apologize to who you actually hurt. Change what you actually can control. This is manageable. This is doable. This is human. But you have to be willing to look. You have to be willing to remember. You have to be willing to stop pretending you don't know exactly what I'm talking about. Because you do know. Right now, reading these words, you know exactly what guilt you're carrying. You know exactly what you're running from. You know exactly what you need to face. Don't you? So let's talk about what real acceptance of guilt looks like. Not the fake apology where you're just trying to end the conflict. Not the strategic admission where you're trying to look humble. Not the vague "I'm sorry if you were hurt" nonsense that takes no actual responsibility. I'm talking about the deep, bone-level acknowledgement that rewrites your whole story. It starts with stopping. Just stopping. Stop explaining. Stop justifying. Stop adding context. Stop saying yes, but. Stop defending. Stop trying to make yourself look better. Just stop. And in that silence, in that stillness, feel what you actually did. Not what you meant to do. Not what you were trying to do. What you actually did. How it actually landed. How it actually hurt. Let yourself feel the full weight of that. Don't minimize it. Don't rationalize it. Don't escape into analysis or philosophy, or we're all flawed humans. Just feel it. Let it be real. Let it matter. This is uncomfortable. No, this is agonizing. Your whole being will want to escape. Your mind will throw up 1,000 reasons why it wasn't really your fault. why they deserved it, why you were justified, why anyone in your situation would have done the same. Let those thoughts come and go. Don't fight them, but don't believe them either. Just stay with the raw reality of what happened. And then comes the hardest part. You speak it out loud. You name it. You say, I did this. I chose this. I am responsible for this. Not in your head. Not in private. Out loud. To yourself. To the person you hurt, if possible. To someone you trust, if not. You make it real by giving it voice. You stop hiding it in the shadows of your consciousness. You drag it into the light and look at it directly. And here's what happens when you do this: nothing catastrophic occurs. The sky doesn't fall. The ground doesn't open up and swallow you. Your identity doesn't actually dissolve. Instead, something shifts. The weight that's been crushing you starts to ease. Not because the guilt goes away, but because you stop carrying it in the form of denial. You stop using all your energy to pretend it doesn't exist. You stop exhausting yourself with justifications and defenses. And that energy becomes available for something else. For change. For growth. For actually becoming different. For repair. For healing. For transformation. This is what real acceptance of guilt gives you. Not comfort. Not absolution. Not a clean slate. But the possibility of actually moving forward instead of being stuck in endless loops of denial and defense. Now I need to address something that might be bothering you. You might be thinking, but what about forgiveness? What about grace? What about the fact that we're all human and we all make mistakes? And yes, all of that is true. And yes, forgiveness is beautiful. And yes, grace is real. But here's the thing, you can't actually receive forgiveness until you've first acknowledged what you did. You can't accept grace until you've first admitted you need it. All the forgiveness in the world can't heal you if you're still pretending you didn't do anything wrong. It just bounces off your walls of denial. It can't reach you. You're locked in your prison of innocence, and forgiveness is standing outside, knocking on the door, but you won't open it because that would mean admitting there's something to forgive. So forgiveness isn't an alternative to accepting guilt. It's what becomes possible after you accept guilt. First the acknowledgement. Then the responsibility. Then the change. And then, maybe, forgiveness. Not as a way to escape consequences, but as a way to be released from the prison of your own making. Not as a way to go back to who you were before, but as a way to become who you need to be next. Let me ask you one more question before we go deeper. Have you ever watched someone refuse to accept guilt? Maybe it was a parent. Maybe it was a partner. Maybe it was a friend. Maybe it was a boss. You saw them do something clearly wrong. You saw them hurt people. You saw them make mistakes. But they never admitted it. They never took responsibility. They never said I was wrong. Instead, they twisted reality. They rewrote history. They blamed everyone else. They played the victim. They got angry at anyone who suggested they might be at fault. How did that make you feel? Probably frustrated. Probably angry. Probably like you were going crazy because they were denying something that was obviously true. Now here's the uncomfortable question: how often are you that person? How often do you watch yourself refuse to admit fault while everyone around you can see it clearly? How often do you distort reality to protect your image? How often do you make people feel crazy because you won't acknowledge simple truth? Comment below if this hits home. Tell me about a time when you were the person refusing to see what everyone else could see. Because recognizing this pattern in yourself is the first step to breaking it. And breaking it is how you become free. There's something about modern culture that makes accepting guilt almost impossible. We're obsessed with being right. With being good. With being innocent. We've turned everything into a competition where admitting fault means losing. Social media has amplified this 1,000 times. Everyone's performing their best self. Everyone's showing how right they are about everything. Everyone's finding someone to blame for their problems. Cancel culture on one side. Victim mentality on the other. Everyone pointing fingers. Nobody looking in the mirror. And into this chaos comes an ancient truth: you are responsible for your choices. You are guilty of your actions. You carry the weight of your failures. And trying to escape this only makes you smaller, weaker, more fragile, more afraid. But accepting it, truly accepting it, makes you unshakable. Because when you've already admitted your worst failures to yourself, when you've already looked at your darkest choices and owned them, what can anyone else say that will break you? What accusation can they throw that you haven't already acknowledged? What shame can they try to impose that you haven't already processed? You become anti-fragile through radical honesty about your fragility. Let's go even deeper now. Because there's a level of guilt that most people never reach. It's the guilt of potential. The guilt of not becoming who you could have been. The guilt of wasting your gifts. The guilt of playing small when you could have been great. The guilt of choosing comfort when you could have chosen growth. The guilt of staying silent when you could have spoken up. The guilt of remaining safe when you could have been brave. This is the guilt that haunts people on their deathbed. Not the things they did wrong, but the things they never did right. The chances they didn't take. The risks they didn't run. The love they didn't express. The dreams they didn't chase. The person they never became. Can you feel this guilt? The heavy knowledge that you're capable of more than you're doing? The awareness that you're settling? The recognition that fear is making your choices instead of courage? This is metaphysical guilt in its purest form. Because even if you never hurt anyone, even if you never broke any rules, even if you were a perfectly nice person, if you died tomorrow having never really lived, having never really tried, having never really become yourself, would that be okay? Would that be enough? Or would there be a guilt deeper than any crime, the guilt of an unlived life? And here's where it all comes together. Here's where everything I've been telling you crystallizes into something you can actually use. The reason you need to accept your criminal guilt, your political guilt, your moral guilt, and your metaphysical guilt is not to punish yourself. It's not to wallow in shame. It's not to feel bad. It's to become free to act. Because every moment you spend denying responsibility is a moment you can't spend taking responsibility. Every second you use defending yourself is a second you can't use changing yourself. Every ounce of energy you burn on justification is energy that could go toward transformation. When you finally accept your guilt, when you stop fighting against the truth of what you've done and what you've failed to do, that's when your real life begins. That's when you can actually apologize to the people you hurt. Actually change the behaviors that harm. Actually contribute to fixing the systems you benefit from. Actually become the person you have the potential to be. This is the paradox: accepting your guilt is how you transcend it. Owning your darkness is how you find your light. Admitting your failures is how you create your successes. And facing your fear is how you discover your courage. So what are you going to do? Right now. Today. This moment. Are you going to close this video and go back to pretending? Are you going to reconstruct your walls of denial? Are you going to find new ways to blame other people for your choices? Or are you going to do the hardest, bravest, most transformative thing you've ever done? Are you going to stop? Are you going to feel? Are you going to acknowledge? Are you going to own your guilt? Not all of it at once. You don't have to solve everything today. But one thing. One specific guilt. One real responsibility. One honest acknowledgement. Start there. Name it. Out loud. To yourself in the mirror if you have to. Write it down if speaking it is too hard. But make it real. Make it concrete. Stop hiding. And then take one action that shows you're different now. One apology. One change. One step toward repair. Just one. That's all. That's enough. Because one real step forward is worth more than 1,000 imaginary leaps. One honest acknowledgement is worth more than 1,000,000 deflections. One moment of truth is worth more than a lifetime of comfortable lies. 99% of people will never do this. They'll live their whole lives trapped in denial, defended against truth, small and scared and stuck. But you're not 99%. You're the 1%. You're the person who's brave enough to face themselves, strong enough to admit weakness, humble enough to acknowledge fault, and free enough to change. This is your moment. This is your chance. This is your invitation to stop being who you were and start becoming who you're meant to be. Will you take it? Will you finally, truly, completely accept your guilt? Not to destroy yourself, but to liberate yourself. Not to drown in shame, but to rise in truth. Not to stay stuck in the past, but to create a different future. The choice is yours. It's always been yours. You've just been pretending it wasn't. But now you know better. Now you've seen the truth. Now you can't unsee it. So what will you choose? Comfort or freedom? Denial or growth? The familiar prison or the terrifying possibility of actually being alive? I can't make that choice for you. Nobody can. This is your guilt. Your responsibility. Your life. Your moment. Choose wisely. Choose bravely. Choose now. Because time doesn't stop. And every moment you wait is another moment you're not truly living. Every second you delay is another second you're staying small. Every day you postpone is another day you're not becoming who you're meant to be. The time is now. The person is you. The choice is simple but not easy. Accept your guilt. Own your responsibility. Change your life. That's the truth. That's the teaching. That's the transformation that's waiting for you on the other side of your fear. Go claim it.